Hi everyone, welcome to another stream. Let me know if you can see and hear me correctly. I'm gonna wait for a few more seconds before we start. Just let me know in the chat below. I'm so sorry for the delay. It was because of some technical reasons at my end, but now everything is sorted and hopefully we can have a smooth live stream, understanding how to create these interactive courses and understanding a few interesting things along the way. Hi Sumit, hi Asmat. I can see a few people in the chat. Hi Shubham. Again, sorry for the delay if you have been waiting for a while. But yeah, let's get started now. So the stream which we have is mostly inclined toward people who are developers and who want to build interactive courses, right? So I'm going to give you a very detailed walkthrough. We might even build a few courses along the way. So it's a great stream for people who want to start their coding careers as a content creator. Now, there are two ways you can develop your career. You can be a developer or you can be a content creator. You can be both, like it's popular these days. So CodeDam allows you to help build interactive courses. The way this works, I'll show you what exactly this is. We have a few more people in the chat. Hi Pratibha, hi Ravi, DJ Guava from Saudi Arabia, US, Texas. Hello, everyone. Let's get started. I'm excited. I'm excited to start this. I'll do less of talking and more of showing. Let me just quickly screen share my screen. And yep. Okay. Hopefully you can see my screen at the moment. You can see it's a blank screen right now, but let's just start a few things. So first things first, I'm going to set the context of this stream, right? This stream is for you if you are a developer who wants to build interactive courses, right? Who wants to build courses and who wants to make money. And I'm going to tell you why CodeDam is a good reason for this. At CodeDam, we have an audience which we can help put your course in front of. So if you make a course which is about, let's say, learn JavaScript or learn a very simple concept about learn Angular or anything, we can help you put your first course in front of people and get you sales. Number one. Number two is that these courses can be interactive. So what does an interactive course mean? This means that if you look at a course, something like HTML and CSS, and let's say if you start this course, you're gonna have these sort of give me a second. You're gonna have these sort of exercises, right? Within your course itself. So if you're creating an interactive course on CodeDam, let's say it's a video-based course, you can have all sorts of these exercises and lessons and interactive playground labs. What this does is that it helps you stand your course apart from the crowd. So let's say there's a JavaScript course on YouTube, which is free, of course, like you can't compete with free, but there's also free interactive course on CodeDam in case of this JavaScript fundamentals or in case of HTML, CSS. What do you think is a better alternative for you as a developer to learn these technologies? Of course, an interactive course, because you get all sorts of these challenges and all sorts of this interactivity built in within your course, right? So we're going to be learning, we're going to be seeing how to build a course like this using CodeDam. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to invite you all to codedam.com/instructor. Now, this is, let me just actually go ahead and log this out and maybe log in with an account which I have not created an instructor account with. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so now if you're on dashboard, you can either go to this icon over here and click on switch to instructor mode. That is one way. Or the second way is to click, just write codedam.com/instructor. I'm going to go ahead and click on this instructor mode from here, and you're going to land up on this particular page, right? Now, this page is important because this page lists a few important things you can do. You can build labs, you can build projects, write articles in your course, quizzes, and upload videos, obviously, right? If you're a creator who already has some content on Udemy or Teachable or YouTube or any other platform, we can apply a free migration to your course, right? And when I say migration, you can obviously keep your content or keep your course on that platform as well. I'm just saying that we don't own your content. We can help you migrate it to CodeDam as well if you want to build an interactive course on top of it. I also currently have a calendar over here. This is my calendar, right? Just to make things clear, this is not a sales rep or anything. This is actually my calendar. If you book a call on this, you actually get to talk to me. But this calendar is only for people who are interested in building an interactive course. If you're one of those, then go ahead and just book a slot with me and we can get on a call. Again, these FAQs would help you understand a little bit more that why you should join CodeDam as a creator. If you're a programmer who's good, then why you should start creating content online, how you can create these courses, whether they are free or paid, and how you will receive payments and how you can get more information. There is another page, if you take a look over here. Let me just see. Yeah, this page over here in terms of instructor terms lists a few more questions, right? How do you earn money from CodeDam? So let's say if you have created a course on CodeDam, how do you actually monetize it, right? Number one is that you sell it directly with, just one-time sale. Number two is you sell it via CodeDam Pro. CodeDam Pro is a initiative or it's an arrangement where you get paid even if no one is actually buying your course explicitly, right? Because like I said, we already have a particular audience with us. We don't need to sell your course explicitly because we already have pro members. So anyone who's using your course or going through your course helps you earn revenue, even if they are not buying your course, right? Think of it almost like a YouTube premium subscription. If someone has YouTube Premium, they don't see ads on your videos, but you still get revenue. Similarly, CodeDam Pro exists like this. And then regular CodeDam purchases, well, you know how that works. There's a revenue breakdown and examples on how much you can earn over here on this page. And you can earn up to 97% of the revenue you make on a single sale. So you see, you can earn up to 97% of the revenue if the sale comes from you. If the sale comes from us, or someone else like affiliates or even our paid marketing efforts, you get up to 30% revenue for sure, guaranteed on every single course sale, no matter how that happens. So once that is clear, let's try to sign up as an instructor. The only thing you have to do to sign up as an instructor is go to codedam.com/instructor through this particular link, switch to instructor mode, which is visible here, and click on register as an instructor. The moment you do that, it will register you as an instructor and it will open an instructor dashboard. Now, pay attention that this instructor dashboard is actually different from your regular dashboard. Your regular dashboard is your user dashboard, right? Which tracks your progress on the platform. Your instructor dashboard, on the other hand, if you switch to instructor mode, this is a different dashboard because first of all, you can see the navigation links are a bit different. And second of all, you see that this area is specific to your revenue generation and the course sales and all those sort of things. So the next thing you have to do is go to interactive courses, because that is what we want to create, and start creating with an interactive course. So I'm going to create an interactive course like this. Now let's just talk a little bit about what all this interface means and what everything in this interface means. Course state is a state of your course. There are two states which we provide right now, pre-sale and draft. You would most likely want to start your course state in draft mode, right? Pre-sale is a mode where you can allow people to buy your course without actually launching it, right? So it could be almost like a crowdfunding thing, if you want to say like that, or it could be something like giving an early bird discount to your users. We'll get to pre-sale mode as well, but let's start with a very simple course title. Let's say Introduction to HTML. Let's say that is my course title, right? Course subtitle is Learn about HTML in a simple interactive course. And code slug, this is the slug which appears in the page. So if you have, let's say, set this as Introduction to HTML test course, your course would be actually accessible on codedamn.com/learn/introduction to HTML test course, right? This is a course pricing tier. You can keep it free, that is $0. If you do this, then anyone can enroll in your course and you don't get revenue from sales. If you keep it as a tier based pricing, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, you can keep it as expensive as you want. We currently support only 5 tiers, but the reason we support tiers and not just letting you set individual course price is because we have purchasing power parity built into the system. So for example, if you set your course to tier 1, that is 20 USD, right? 20 USD comes out to be, I mean, if we consider 1 USD as 80 rupees for now, it comes out to be 1600 rupees. But this is too much in terms of the first tier for a country like India. Therefore, the tier 1 in US is $20, but tier 1 in India is 999 rupees, right? Instead of 1600. Similarly, tier 1 in Europe is again 20 euros. 20 euros instead of the equivalent conversion, because this does two things. The first thing it does is that it keeps the pricing sane for everyone from different countries in the world. And second thing it does is that it allows us to have nice rounded values, right? Which helps in marketing and sales. Because you would have heard, like, a product selling for 19.99 is obviously more, seems or looks more uniform than a product selling for 24.23 cents, right? Because this looks like a off number which is rounded and just computed somehow. So anyway, I'm going to keep this as tier 1, or I can just keep this as free as well. Introduction to HTML test course. I'm going to just write hello world, welcome to my HTML course. I'm going to build amazing interactive course on HTML. This is basically your area to add as much description as you can, because this would be visible to the user on the page. Then primary category could be computer programming or web development in this case, and this could be front-end web development. This is something which we'll still work on. We are still working on. We'll improve this for the most part. But once you have, once you have selected this category, you can still change it. So it's not an issue. Mark this course as an exam is an interesting thing, but I'm not going to get into this examination thing just now. Let's just consider a regular standard course for now. Right? We're going to maybe discuss this in another stream or somewhere. But yeah, right now, I would not focus on mark this course as an exam a lot. You can try to read about it if you want, but that's a different thing for now. What will students learn here? It could be just a list of a few topics which would appear as a goal. Introduction to HTML, hit enter. Introduction to web development, hit enter. How to build basic web components, or anything. I'm just writing random things. And once you have done this, you click on save changes. The moment you click on save changes, you can see your interactive course is created and you are redirected to this curriculum tab. Now, before we do anything, I would want to click on preview course button to see how my course actually looks on the main website. So you see, the moment I click on that, you will load into you are in a preview mode, right? So this introduction to HTML would appear now as as a preview mode page. So anything you see over here is dynamic in nature. Like if you update this contents, if you update introduction to HTML, it will automatically update. So you see all the details which you entered over here. That is how it will appear to the end user. Introduction to HTML as the course title, course subtitle as something like this, learn about HTML and simple interactive course, and goals are the ones which we added at the end. Description is the one which we added over here inside of this markdown preview. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You don't have any student feedback because, well, you don't have any student feedback right now. So there's that. And again, this your course instructor thing would automatically be populated based on whatever you fill inside of your CodeDAM instructor setting, which is this link at the bottom left. Not sure if it is visible because I'm on top of the video, but there's a link at the bottom left of this video. So for now, I'm just going to exit this preview mode so that, we can just focus on building the curriculum first. I'm going to close this tab and I'm going to go to the curriculum tab, and you see that this is an area which is the most important part of building your interactive course, right? So before we start into this, I would want to take up any questions, anything which is anyone wants to ask, just for 4 minutes in the chat below. I can see a lot of people still joining in. Someone asked, is there's a playback available for the stream in YouTube later? Yes, this will be recorded, but it is recommended, like, if you can stick along and if you want to ask questions like this. For example, I'm giving you a 5-minute break from the live stream to ask me anything. I can answer that for you. But yeah, the stream would be available as well. Every time I see a notification from your channel, I think, oh damn, it's been a while now. Okay. Blackwood also asked, what's this? So people who have joined new, if they don't know what this is, what's going on, we are basically discussing how you can build amazing and interactive courses, coding courses mostly, on a platform called Codedam. Now, this platform allows you to build interactive courses like this. Like, I'm just going to show you a quick example. If you go to learn HTML and CSS, take a look at this particular course. It's almost a 6-hour course, which consists of basics of HTML, right? But if you take a look inside this course, you will see that it's unique in a way that it not just consists of video elements like this, but it also consists of these practice elements, where if I, let's say, open this particular thing over here, a practice session opens inside of almost like a VS Code like environment, right? So if you want to have an environment or an interface like this, which allows you to practice, or allows your users, in fact, to practice while they're learning your course, whether you are building on Next.js, whether you are building on, anything, basically, any technology, Node.js, MongoDB, Rust, C, C++, we support a bunch of technologies. I'm going to get into that as well. You can go ahead and do that. So this is what this is about, Blackwood, if that helps. Afnan says an awesome course is on the way, by the way. So we're looking forward to what Afnan puts out in the coming weeks. All the best for that. Prajwal says, software to record course. You can use any software, any screen recording software you want. For example, as of now, I use QuickTime on macOS to record videos, and rest of these things, which are labs, obviously they don't need any recording or anything. So you can just set up these labs. We're going to get into how you can set up a lab in a while, after I'm done picking up questions now. Do you allow courses which can clash with your learning path courses? Yes, we do allow courses. In fact, if you make a course which is better than what we have in an existing path, we might as well just ask you to feature your course within our learning path itself. So it's not a competition. It's actually, we want the best courses available to everyone. And of course, like, if you want to make a similar course, if you want to make HTML course itself, that is completely allowed. Everything on the web, so you basically need Node setup on the local machine. That is true. That is what we are heading into. This is basically a full-blown Linux environment interface. If you take a look, people can not only just build HTML or web development courses, but you can build Python courses, Java courses. In fact, we also have a Java course on the platform. Anything you want, you can build over here in terms of anything that can run on Linux as of now. Can we ask other questions related to development on only stream for creator? Okay, this stream is more or less for creator, setting up a course only. If you want to ask a question, sure, you can drop. If it's a small question to answer, I can quickly pick it up. But yeah, mostly I will be focusing on how to set up a creator course in this particular stream. So basically, Udemy plus Code Sandbox in one platform. Precisely, that is what our learning path and this learning area basically does, right? So we have more ambitions in terms of how we want to push education for coding forwards. But yeah, I mean, Udemy is more for everything. Currently, we are focusing only on coding and programming aspects so that we can provide interfaces like this, and we can provide the best learning experience ever to everyone who's trying to get into programming. Suggest a beginner mic, or should I go with professional mic? If you want to go with a beginner mic, there are a few mics which are collar mics. I'm forgetting the name exactly, but there is one mic which is cheap. But if you want to go for professional mic, Blue Yeti is a good mic, or you can go for some more expensive options which are wireless mics. Also these days cost around 20-30,000, but Blue Yeti you will get for 10,000. And the collar mic thing, I think that you can get for 400-500 rupees also. What about building courses in Hindi language? You can surely build courses in Hindi language. That is not a restriction from our end. It's just that some parts maybe still be English. I mean, you not exactly still in English. You would have to, like, the platform in itself would be in English, right? So currently we don't support, like, just changing this text, for example, open a playground into Hindi or documentation into Hindi. You can build a Hindi course, but the platform as of now would still, the interface would still remain in English. Your contents can be in Hindi. So sure, that will work. Do the courses have to be for new junior developers? What about courses on SDLC, Git, DevOps, coding practices, etc.? No, it's not mandatory for these courses to be restricted to junior developers only. You can go ahead and build a course for senior developers and on Git and DevOps as well. We do have a few advanced courses as well. I think like one of these courses which was launched, codedam.com/launch/Java course. This gets fairly advanced after a particular, duration. It's over an 11-hour course, which is an interactive. So you see, it consists of these design principles, design patterns, factory design, builder design, with all these labs as well. So I think that's okay. You can go forward and make it a complex course as well. If it is an intermediate and advanced course, you probably are going to get more sales also, because you're tapping into an audience which is eager to learn, but also is untapped in a way, because there are a lot of courses on basic things already. I'm a beginner, but I'm interested. Then you can stick along. You can understand how you can make courses, and whatever you feel like you can start with. It could be a very simple course as well. Just publish it, and we'll see how it goes. You can always improve your course as well along the way. How will be the financial model? So for financial model, I would again recommend going to codedam.com/instructor/terms. This page over here lists down how you will earn money as an instructor from Codedam, right? There are two ways precisely. Whenever someone which is a pro member on Codedam watches your videos, reads your articles, or practices your labs, you earn money. Or whenever someone buys your course, right? Again, there are two. Again, this is like heavily detailed, this document. So I would recommend like going forward and reading this whole thing if you want to understand how to build a particular code, how this financial model would work. When it started, I'm not sure if you're asking the live stream or the platform in itself. If you're asking about live stream, you can rewind this all the way back to understand how whatever we have discussed. For platform, I think it's been a while. It's been, Codedam started back in 2015 originally as a YouTube channel, but then just over the time, I decided that this should be a platform instead of a YouTube channel. Then once it was a platform, I decided it should be open for content creators as well. So it's been a while, but yeah, I mean, everything is getting into picture now. Just say I want to make a course on advanced CSS and SAS. How long will it take for someone who hasn't done anything like this before? I don't know, honestly. This is like a very personal question. It depends on a lot of factors. Like, are you someone who would take a lot of time to record videos if you want to record videos? If yes, then maybe that's your biggest bottleneck. Do you, how much time you're willing to spend on the platform itself? Because this, I'm going to show you, I'm going to set up a lab and I'm going to show you that this has a learning curve to it, right? It's not a simple way to set up a course. So I'm going to show you how this particular thing would work, and you have to invest at least 5-10 hours initially in order to learn it properly. I can say, as a rough estimate, if you want to get started and you put in like 2-3 hours of learning time and content creation time every single day, you should be good to go within, 2 to 3 weeks of time. Like, that's a safe estimate. If you're someone who's new and you're putting, let's say, 2.5 or 3 hours of time, includes content recording, that includes learning about the platform, that includes setting up labs, setting up projects, everything, you should be good to roll out a course within a couple of weeks. Can students buy these courses from countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, etc.? Yes, we support three payment gateways. The first one is Razorpay. This is for people who are in, let's say, in India. The second one is Stripe, which helps people to buy from anywhere in the world precisely. And the third one is PayPal. PayPal is available only for a selected few purchases and outside of India. So yeah, I mean, we support a lot of payment methods, which allows people of people of all kinds to buy, all countries to buy courses. Okay, I see a lot of questions. I'm just gonna quickly wrap them up. Please give me a shout out. So shout out to Rick Bhattacharya ji. All the best. I hope I see some courses from you in the future after the shout out. Can we create automation using programming related courses, and can we create courses in Kannada and Hindi explanations? Can we create automation using programming related courses? Yes, sure. I mean, you can create any sort of course, right? The title doesn't matter, because even if that cannot contain interactive labs, that can always contain videos. So that is there. And you can create Hindi courses as well if you want, sure. During the development, we use a lot of dependencies. It is okay if we have a lot of dependencies. It can be affect the project. No, it's okay. It's completely fine. We have built Playground from ground up. We have built this thing to be heavy duty. This can take up a lot of load. It can take up a lot of work. So leave the heavy lifting to us. You can spin full blown projects, whether they are big projects, whether they are Next.js, servers, backends, front ends, WebSockets, everything would work on this CodeDAM Playground interface. Don't worry about this. Just boot up your environment and leave the rest to us. We will handle it. Thanks for putting up nice content, being following since long. Thank you so much, Prabhat, for tuning in. This live is recorded. Yes, this will be recorded, but it's your chance to answer or not answer. It's your chance to ask questions from me if you want. Give a thought to integrating NFTs in the financial model. Okay, I mean, I personally don't understand a lot of Web3 aspects myself. So introducing NFTs and even crypto in the scene would be slightly difficult for me to understand first and then implement. But yeah, definitely, like, this is Web3, something which is on our mind. And if you are into Web3, then why not just maybe create an NFT programming or some sort of course like that? That could also be interactive. Tanish asks, I make many projects like cool looking nav bars, animation, etc. during my development phase. Can I make a course on that, like building assets for a website from scratch? Of course, that sounds like a good idea. Like, you can create a course on UI. I can give you a title for a course, UI designing for non-UI programmers, something like this. I don't know, like UI designing for developers. And then you can walk them through how to create these cool nav bars and how to create these animations in a step-by-step manner. And you can use these playgrounds as exercises for them, whether they are putting in the correct styles, whether their layouts look okay or not. And we will take how to set up those labs. Are these courses safe from piracy? This is one of the biggest underrated selling point or a unique selling point of a platform like Codam. You can't pirate these courses. When you pirate a course, you download videos, right? But how can you download interactive labs? No one can download interactive labs. Consider something like this. Let's say if you are going through this course, Learn Advanced HTML CSS, right? As a creator, one of the biggest things which you would not like to do for users is, just download your course, right? So if I start this course, for example, I don't want people to download this particular course. I want them to stay on the platform. I want them to learn. I want them to interact. But consider that this course is interactive. This is the biggest thing which can happen. This course is interactive. So there is no way someone can actually download this particular lab, right? Where they have to fix this particular, this particular thing. I mean, this lab is, I think, already solved, but you get the idea that, you know, you can't actually download labs inside of a course. There is no, it doesn't make sense, right? It makes sense to download videos. You can download this particular video, sure, but you can't download a lab. So that is one of your USPs, that your course can't be fully pirated. If you have a course which is, just video based course, then of course that can be pirated. But these courses, if they consist of heavily of labs and projects, they cannot be pirated. For someone who's working a day job, it'll be tough to give 4 or 5 hours a daily. It'll be a side hustle for this. I mean, of course, for sure. Like if you even can give 30 minutes to an hour, that's more than enough if you just keep on learning on how to build a course. And this is also like a one-time thing. Your first course might take you 3 weeks of time. I'm pretty sure your second course will take you under a week. Your third course might take you even like 5 days if you know what to record, how to set up labs. One of the biggest bottlenecks which you will see is bottlenecks in terms of understanding, and not even bottlenecks, it's about learning curve, is how to set up a lab, which we will see now. It would be nice to have some resources on how to make courses, because for first timers, we have no idea about how to start. I understand that. And this live stream is one of those things. You see this link at the top right, this documentation. Just click on this and you will also land on Codam Docs, which is a detailed website on how to set up your instructor account and how to get started. So I'm going to share, was going to share this, but because you asked it right now, I just mentioned that we have an instructor documentation which we are improving every single day, and we tell you there's a detailed explanation of how to set up these labs as well. This documentation will be expanded even further, so there is a lot of reading material, there is a lot of help available for you. Don't worry about that. The real problem is it doesn't support live reload. It does support live reload. I mean, if you are booting an HTML playground, let's see. If you're booting an HTML playground, it would automatically reload if you make any change to the files. So I'm not sure what you're saying. I'm a fresh graduate and I really like where your Codam is headed. Is it possible for me to work with your organization? You can look at careers.codam.com and see if there's any opportunity which interests you. Playground, Yarn to 30% decrease start time. I would for now recommend to stick to Yarn or PNPM, or even Bun has a installer thing, because these are fast installers, right? Yarn 2, I'm not so familiar with it, so maybe it's a little bit slow. But anyway, guys, let's get back on track. Let's try to understand now how to build a course, because so far we have done pretty much nothing. All we have done is basically setting up a course, setting up details of that, and we are now in this curriculum tab, which is an important tab. Now, how do we add content? The first thing to add a content is you have to add a section. All courses are divided into sections, right? So this could be an introduction to HTML section, and then I could have another section which is like advanced HTML section, right? So I have two sections right now. Both of them are empty. Let's say I add an article to both of these sections, right? What I can do is I can use these controls on the right to modify how this particular thing behaves. So I'm going to edit this article first, and I'm going to say hello, well, or not hello, welcome to my course. And this could be like a welcome to HTML CSS course. Glad to see you here. Like I'm just writing a very stupid and dummy thing, but you get the idea. So you see this article is updated, but this is in draft state right now, right? So what this means is that unless and until this article is published, this will not be visible to end users. So what does this mean? This means that whenever you want to add new content to an existing course, you can add it as a draft, you can work on it for a while, and once it's ready, you can click on this publish item. Now remember, this publish item does not publish your course itself. It just publishes this particular course item, right? So you can have a lot of work in progress course items. You can see all of these things which you add by default are drafts, because we don't want them to immediately be visible if they are not linked. Once this is linked, I mean, like for example, for labs, you even have to create labs, otherwise you will not even get an option to publish them. Once it is linked, then you can publish, whatever you want. So this is, I can just delete this for now, just to clean up a few course items. But you see that I've added two articles. The first one is welcome to my course, and the second one is welcome to advanced section, right? Again, hello world. Basic, this supports Markdown. You can have Markdown or anything you want, insert images and stuff, whatever you want to do. And you can then publish this article. Now, you see the type of this article, the content type of this article listed over here. Article is one of the things which you can ask. Quiz is another item. Quiz is another item which you can ask, which you can add, not ask. But ask is also technically correct because you are asking your users. So, for example, I can add, what is the full form of HTML? Hypertext markup. LSP, you get the idea, hypertext markup language, and so on. You can add multiple options. You can add an explanation that HTML stands for this, that, whatever, whatever you want to do. This explanation appears when the user actually, and you also have to select the correct answer, obviously. When the user actually fails to answer the question or completes the quiz, right? Then this explanation appears. Okay, I'm just going to pick up a question real quick from the chat because I had my eye on. I'm working on a huge course. I was looking for the platform. Please give me a reason why I should choose CodeDam instead of any other platform except Labs. Well, I mean, Labs is in fact the biggest selling point of CodeDam platform, so I would start there. I would not understand why don't you want to include Labs part. But other than that, well, this platform is specifically made for coding related, programming related courses, and our undivided focus is to improve the experience of both instructors who are making coding courses and students who are attempting this. We are the only platform currently which includes this lab and this interactive IDE interface in an edtech manner, right? That is one thing. Second thing is, if you take a look at our terms, instructor terms, it's very friendly in terms of the revenue sharing. You can take a look at how much revenue you can earn from the platform. It's very friendly, it's very transparent. You get to see all the sales in real time when they happen. If you go back to your dashboard, let me just quickly open this. And if you go to, I mean, this is a fresh account, so I can't really show you anything. But if you go to the sales and payout thing, this sale date, sale type, status, course, this updates in real time, right? So it's extremely transparent. You can take a look, you can make a sale yourself, or just send someone a link to your course, and you will see this data being reflected in real time. We don't cache anything. So that is another thing. It is transparent. The third thing, which I feel is a very important aspect, is that we have close to 100,000 developers already registered on the platform. So launching your coding course on this immediately gives you exposure in front of 100,000 people already on the platform. And fourth point is, like, I mean, I just want you to trust me because I am a developer, I am a creator, I have been into this industry for over 10 years as a developer, right? As an entrepreneur, as someone who's running this business, it's been a little less while, but still, I mean, as a developer, I know, as a content creator, I know what you guys need, and I'm willing to listen to everyone, and any feedback we get, and we do work on everything. So I sincerely believe that you will have a great experience working on a course on CodeDam. If not, then of course, like, I'm here, my whole team is here to listen and fix whatever bothers you or whatever thing is not working out for you. But for the most part, I sincerely believe that we have built a amazing platform for both creators and users of these courses. So yeah, I mean, if you have any specific questions, then of course let me know. But this is how I feel we stand apart, except for the labs part, which you already mentioned. Playground is really not ideal for backend and networking and stuff because your Docker container uses Linux 64, not really versatile. I don't really understand what that means, because it is in fact ideal for networking and backend related things, except for the fact that if you are trying to build something like a Docker course itself, where you have to run Docker containers within containers, then it will be tricky, or Kubernetes course, which lies on a DevOps side of things. But other than that, it's completely fine. You can have WebSocket servers, you can have HTTP servers, you can have HTTPS servers, you can do all sorts of networking on CodeDAM Playgrounds. It will work. I don't understand why do you say it uses Linux 64, not really versatile. Please elaborate on this if you want, if you can. Does the courses need to be only in English? No, it's not a requirement. You can have cross-language courses as well. While hot reloading, the terminal progress is lost. Can we get a fix for that? I don't understand what that means. Terminal progress is lost. Can you elaborate on this? Because if you can, then I'll just forward this to the team. And if this is something which needs to be fixed, we can roll it out. We are working on a terminal update as of now, like as we are talking. It should be live within the next 1-2 days, which makes it extremely beautiful to work with terminals in the playground as well. Multiple terminal support with the running process listed, and you will have better GUI controls. So we might as well squeeze this bug fix into that pull request. But just let me know what you think about it. How do you even install tools? It requires sudo. Yes, this is one of the limitations of a container-based environment, that you can't install explicit tools. If you have a requirement, whether you're creating, let's say, a networking course, I would agree on that. If you need to install, let's say, DNS utils or anything which requires sudo apt-get install, we don't provide that as of now due to security restrictions. But I mean, feel free to reach out to us if you're building a course which requires something. Raise a request, and we will include that tool in our next Docker build. So we can include tools you want, right? It's not like it's a locked environment. It's just that while we figure out how to properly secure sudo inside of running containers, we will just restrict it as of now. One thing you can do, another thing which I will quickly get to, is click on this get help link at the bottom left. I'll just, one second, I'll just let me just remove this comment for now. And I'm not sure if I can, yeah. So you see, click on this get help button over here at the bottom left, and you will see that a creator Discord opens, right? If you click on this, you will see a creator Discord server opens. This is a place where my whole team is available. And if you're a creator who's creating content on CodeDAM, use the server to ask for things. Use the server to ask for questions or anything, or any request you want, like in case of sudo or in case of this thing. Maybe Electrolyte wants to say that if you can use Ubuntu instead of Linux, because most devs are familiar with Ubuntu and commands. We do use Ubuntu within the container itself. So the container image which runs, it runs on top of Linux, but the flavor of Linux that is used is Ubuntu. There are a few commands which are missing, obviously, because the container image needs to be small. But if you need us to add anything, any sort of tool or any sort of command, which is like any sort of utility, then we can add that from our end, which requires sudo. A lot of packages are also available on NPM, right? So if you want to install anything global with NPM or yarn, you can do that without sudo as well. That is available on the containers, but not the sudo related commands as of now. The course is reviewed by who before being put on the platform. It's reviewed by our team. So once you have prepared your course, you can submit it for evaluation, and we'll just take a quick look at if everything looks nice and okay, and then we'll push it on the platform. Any gamification features are there that will be great to see in this platform that will give a greater motivation to students to complete a course. So we do have a first version of gamification up on the platform that includes XP as an experience point. So everyone who completes a course item gets a certain amount of XP depending on the difficulty level. Labs are awarded higher XP. Video items and quizzes are awarded slightly lower XP because they're easier to complete. XP also is dynamic in nature. So I'll show you, like when you build a lab, then you can also specify a verified solution. And if the user sees a solution, then their XP decreases. So there is that layer of gamification, sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm open to any feedbacks, open to any suggestions you can give, and would be happy to take a look on that as well. The browser console reloads, or let's just say the previous logs are lost with every hot reload. This is something which we are actively fixing. I now understand what you're saying. So if you take a look at a playground like React, for example, this problem does not exist in a playground for React, right? If you have a playground for React, you can toggle the browser consoles and it will just keep on working, right? So let me just wait for couple of seconds for this installation to work, but this problem exists. I know this problem exists in the HTML, CSS playgrounds, and we are working on introducing hot reloading. Currently, what works is live reloading. Live reloading, just reloads the whole page, which leads to loss of console logs as well over there. But if you take a look over here inside of React, if I try to do console log over here, console log 1, and then if I change mode to reload and ... you can see that this particular thing does not get lost, right? If I remove this particular logo as well, you're going to see that these logs stays. I think that is what you're saying, that this should hot reload for HTML playgrounds as well. This is coming. This is coming soon, so don't worry about that. All right, so let's get back to what we were discussing. You can see that here is a basic curriculum with one article, one quiz. We have just created a quiz with some basic options, and that's it, right? You can just create multiple quizzes if you want. You can also add a video item. Now, for adding a video item, you first have to upload all the videos, right? So this bulk video uploader is the place where you would select all the videos you want to upload. And think of this as a library, right? So this is independent of the course you're working in. You can upload any number of videos you want over here. We will process them. We will transcode them a bit. We will compress them so that it's more efficient for the end user to see. And then we will make it available to everyone else, right? So upload all of your videos, wait for a few hours, right? 1 to 2 hours of time. And then they would be available inside here. So when you add a video item, you can click on add a video, and this will show videos from the library which you have uploaded, right? So you would get an option to link a video. The moment you link this, you can give this a title like Hello World to HTML, save this video, and once it is linked, you can also publish that particular video. Right now, it doesn't show you a publish option because this video is unlinked, right? But if you upload a video and link it, I'm not going to do this right now because it will take some time to just process the video. But if you upload a video and link it, it should be available over here. Now the quiz is done, the article is done. Let's just publish quiz as well. This article is also done, right? Another thing which I want to talk about is this monetization icon. So you see, you can disable monetization for a few items. Now I don't recommend doing this for paid courses. You can use this for the first few items in every section. So let's say you want to disable monetization for this particular course item. The moment you disable this monetization, this particular course item is available to everyone. Even if this is a paid course, you can make this as a preview for your course, right? That welcome to my course is available to everyone, whoever has even not bought the course. If you want, you can disable monetization of a few more items, and this will again be available to more people. But again, obviously, it makes no sense to just disable it for everyone and then make the course paid as well. You might as well just make it free only then. If your course is free, then this option doesn't mean anything, right? This option is then ignored. If your course is free, then the monetization angle for individual course item doesn't make sense. So make sure you understand that part. All right, so now we have arrived 50 minutes into the stream, and now we have arrived one of the most important parts of this particular platform, that is creating an interactive lab. So let me just go ahead and add a lab now, and I will walk you through exactly how and what needs to be done to create an interactive course. This lab item which you see over here is extremely powerful and can make wonders for your students, right, who are attempting this particular course. It can help them understand extremely easily a particular concept. Click on this edit course lab item, and you will see this particular interface. Now see, one of the first things you have to do is enter a title for this particular lab and click on create lab. So this is the place where you create a lab, right? So let's say I want to create a lab on let's say writing hello world, right? And I'm going to click on create a lab. So you see a lab gets created for me, writing hello world, right? This is a new lab. It was created on 19 October. It does not has a verified solution right as of now. That's okay. I'm going to click on link lab button, right? So when I do this, you see that this lab is now linked to this particular course item, but this lab is incomplete. So let's just go ahead and click on edit item, and let's just edit this particular lab. So you see, a lab editing interface is an interface in itself. Like designing a course is an interface, designing a lab is also an interface like this. So you see, our lab title is this. This lab description is something which would appear to the user in the information tab. So this is the place where you can tell them what exactly needs to happen. So you can say, hello, user, or developer, whatever you want to say. In this lab, you are required to check, or required to not check, required to add an H1 tag which contains the text exactly as, you can just remove exactly as well, text hello world. The casing for the text, right? As simple as that. You save this and you move on to the next step. The second step is you select a template. This template is almost like a hint for us, for the platform, in order to understand what kind of programming or what kind of lab you are doing, lab you are building, right? Well, an inside technical secret of this is that any particular lab or any particular template would work, whatever you select over here. But this over here is a hint for us, for the platform, to optimize your playground for the end user, right? So if it is a React playground, we will optimize it in a certain way. If it is an HTML, CSS playground, we'll optimize it in a certain way. Because this is an HTML, CSS playground, I'm going to keep this template to plain HTML, CSS only. Let's say if I'm building a React app, I'm going to pick this. Let's say if I'm building a Vue app, it says support coming soon, but technically speaking, you can still make a Vue app or a Vue lab with just HTML, CSS image also. Why? Because the underlying image is same for CodeDAM. The reason we say that Vue support is coming soon is that we don't have a documentation done for Vue. Now, here is also one thing which I would like to bring up. You can watch this stream, you can watch this video completely, or what you can do is you can go to teach.codedam.com/docs. This docs is a documentation hub for CodeDAM. And let me just quickly change the view as well, so it's a little bit more zoomed. Hopefully this is better. So teach.codedam.com, you see, is a documentation hub for building interactive labs as of now, or building interactive courses in general. So let's say we are trying to build an interactive HTML lab, but I don't know how to start. Just click on this container image tab, select the image you want, and you will have a helper link, documentation for setting up lab. Just click on this and go through this whole thing, right? There are 5-6 steps which you have to do in order to set up a lab. And that is it. You will be done once you understand all of these steps. I'm going to walk you through these steps, obviously, in this live stream itself. But you can use this as an option to, just understand how to create a lab in a documented format as well. So let's start with plain HTML, CSS. That is it. I'm going to go ahead and click on save and next. This is the lab layout, right? So what do you want the layout to be? There could be 4 types of layouts as of now. Terminal IDE browser is basically a layout which includes everything, a terminal at the end, an editor in the center, and a browser preview for whatever the user is working on. Terminal browser is something which just includes a terminal and a browser, not suitable for most labs, but still exist. Terminal and IDE is suitable for labs like Java or Python, where no browser is required. And terminal only is suited for labs which are just bash based, right? Which is like just doing something with bash programming, or which just involves the use of terminals. For this case, I'm going to stick with terminal plus IDE plus browser. I'm going to click on save and next because this helps us keep all the components on the page. Then we have a default empty repository over here. If you open this, you're going to see that this repository is basically empty. It just consists of two files. One is CDMRC. A CDMRC is a configuration file for the playgrounds itself, right? So the CDMRC file over here, what this does is that is allows you to specify a few options as a playground defaults. Let's just go to this particular documentation, go to concepts, and click on using CDMRC. So this documentation over here lists down what exactly is needed in order to set up a CDMRC file, right? So this includes a lot of options which we can explore, but let's just go ahead and create a default repository over here. Now this default repository over here is the repository which gets cloned when the user starts your lab, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on test this lab first, just to show you what is exactly happening. So when we click on test this lab, you see we get the title of the lab, which we wrote in lab details step. We get the description over here, and we get something known as this repository contents, right? This repository contents over here are cloned directly from this particular repo, which we specified in this lab default step. So let's just go ahead and create a new repository, right? What I'm going to do is let me just go ahead and open my terminal over here. I'm going to go to personal. I'm going to create a courses directory. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's see, mkdir, HTML, CSS course tutorial. I'm going to cd into this and I'm going to git init, right? I'm going to say, open this into VS Code. Let me just get VS Code over here as well. So in this VS Code, what we can do is set up a default system, set up a default repository for a file, default repository of files to be cloned. So I can give it an HTML document and I can say, enter your code here, right? This is for the end user. Now, index.html file is the one which we want, but what I also want is .cdmrc file. Now, this .cdmrc file, like I mentioned, is a configuration file. So what I want to do is I want to say that whenever this lab opens, I want index.html tab to be opened automatically, right? So what I can do is I can just go to the CDMRC and I can say this tabs is the default files things, right? So I can say this tabs is like this, but we don't have an SRC folder. We just have index.html directly. So I'm just going to keep it like this. The second thing which I want is that I want to make sure that this particular terminal automatically runs, right, with the with the correct server. So what I mean by that is if you go to this test lab, for example, right now, let's see where we will test this lab. So you see the moment this particular lab boots, you see that nothing happens on the side, right? The reason for that is your server, there is no server which is serving for this particular web view on the right. That is why it just keeps on running start command. It's stuck on running start command. So what you can do is you can start an HTTP server over here. And if you go to this edit lab thing, you would actually see selecting a template as a guide over here. But if you, let me just go back to HTML, CSS. And if you go through this documentation, you're going to see inside of a lab default section, there's a tip. This is an important tip, right? Because it mentions that for HTML and CSS playground, we recommend you to fork the following repository and use it as a starter template. So let me just go ahead and click on this. This is a starter template, which we have provided. It consists of a CDMRC and a few front-end web development assets, right? Index.html, script.js, and style.css. So the CDMRC consists of tabs, which we have already done, right? If we just move this over here, you can see tabs is already done. The next thing which we want is we want the terminal one to be something like this. Now, this terminal one, what this means is that it means that whenever this project loads, I want this particular command to run in the first terminal. Now, the reason we need this command is that we need to serve this particular page or serve this particular directory to the user's web view, right? To the user's web. And the reason we need to do that is because we need a preview on here over here, right? Otherwise it will get stuck on this particular thing. It is almost like running a command on the Linux computer, right? When you start your project, you run npm start, right? And then it runs inside of a browser. Similarly, if you want this to run inside of a browser, you would have to start a command like static server. Static server is an npm binary which we use for now. If you take a look at static server, this is the npm binary which we are using on CodeDam. You can feel free to use any other binary as well if you want, but static server is what we use to serve static assets. We want this to be served on port number 1337. Now here's another important but interesting concept. On CodeDam, whatever service you expose on port number 1337 would be available automatically in this web view on the right? You can see this URL over here, visitor-whos.codedam.app/:1337. This URL over here is a dynamic random generated URL, but this port number on the internet maps exactly to whatever is running on the container on the same port. Currently, we expose 2 ports. So if you go to the settings tab, you're going to see this port mapping section. So you see any app running on localhost 1337 inside this container can be accessed on this. And any server running on localhost 1338 can be also accessed. So we expose 2 ports. In this case, 1337 is embedded on the write itself, right? So this write area consists of the port or consists of a service which is running on port number 1337. So that is why we include port number as 1337 and we say no cache because, well, we don't want files to be cached, and that's the only reason. So yep, that's it. That's basically it for our use case. I'm going to go ahead and add this. I'm going to comment this lab1. I'm also going to create this repository because we haven't created this. So I'm going to use GitHub CLI itself, create repo, Mehul MPT, test tutorial HTML course, gh repo. I don't exactly remember if this was the command. Gh repo create Mehul MPT test tutorial HTML course. I wrote the same thing, right? Repo. Oh, okay. I wrote it the other way. And I want this to be a public repository, right? It is important that these repositories are public because they would be cloned by CodeDam. So you need to make sure Mehul MPT. You need to make sure that these repositories are public because we need to clone them on users' playgrounds, right? So once this repository is created, what I can do is say git remote add origin, and then this particular thing, git@github.com. I use SSH, but you can use any way to push on GitHub, whatever you like, right? And then we see that our repository is added, our contents is added, and I can just push this to GitHub like this with CLI. Okay, so now once we have done this, if I go back and if I take a look at github.com/mehulmpt/test tutorial HTML course, you're going to see that we have a repository containing 2 files, right? And lab1 as the syntax, as the name of the commit. So let me just go back to setting up this particular lab. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to enter default repository as this particular thing. And I'm going to specify the branch as master. You can keep a single repository for your whole course and create multiple branches, right? And then you can specify lab 1, lab 2, lab 3, and so on. And it'll start cloning those different branches depending on what lab you are in, right? I'm going to go with master for now. And yep, that's it. Let's just move forward, save and next. And you see that we arrive at an evaluation thing. But before that, let's just go ahead and click on test this lab again. And you're going to see once your playground boots, it'll come with the updated code. And the reason it does not come, if you see if it does not come with an updated code, all you have to do is click on this reset lab button on the bottom right, because saves your changes in the cloud, right? So now once it is reset, you will see that now it automatically opens index.html thanks to the configuration we defined in cdmrc, and it automatically runs, a server in the terminal one, right? So you can see it automatically runs it, and now I can just write any sort of content which I want, and whatever I write over here would automatically appear on the right, right? So we have successfully created a very basic example of building this lab from scratch. But the interesting thing still remains. The interesting thing is, how do you add evaluation to this particular lab? Because evaluation is how you can add challenges which automatically run and execute on when the user figures out what needs to be done, right? So what this evaluation tab helps you to do is build an understanding on how to run how to run tests on users code. Again, I'm going to go back to this how to create an interactive lab documentation, and let's just take a look at this particular section of step 4 evaluation script. Again, just to summarize, this consists of a learning curve, right? I don't expect you to learn everything in 1 hour stream itself. That is why I have this document open as well. Make sure when you are building your own HTML course, or CSS or JavaScript, Node, Rust, React course, go through these documentations which are listed down here, because it has a little bit of learning curve to it. But once you understand how to create these labs, it's going to be extremely simple to get started. All right, so let's take a look at now how to work with evaluation things. So you see, okay, let's just go a little bit above. You see there are 5 sections to it: creating lab metadata, setting up lab defaults, setting up lab challenges, evaluation script, and test file. So we are left with 3 more things to do. We have already done these things: lab details and container image, all these stuff. Evaluation consists of 3 sections: test command to run, test file, and challenges. Challenges being the simplest one. We will start with adding these. So I'm going to say add an h1 tag on your page, hit enter. H1 tag on your page should consist of hello world text. Second challenge. The hint for this lab could be, did you really add an h1 tag on the page? And the hint for this one could be, we could not find hello world inside any h1 tag on the page, right? So let me just go ahead and save this lab and test this lab again. Let me just close these tabs real quick. You see, now when I click on test lab, we see another interesting button, which is this button over here. And these challenges also appear down here inside of the Explorer tab. So you see, we have 2 red dots saying that these challenges are not complete. Add an h1 tag on your page. An h1 tag on the page should consist of hello world text. And we also get a new button known as run test. And let me just fix my view over here. Yeah, so you see, we also get a new button saying run test, which can also be run through a shortcut. So when I click on this run test button, currently nothing will happen, right? It'll just say me an error, could not calculate results, is your code crashing? Because we don't have a setup for testing this particular lab done. So let's just go ahead and now set up this particular testing interface. If we go back to the documentation, we have already completed the setting up lab challenges step, right? The 3rd step. So you see, we have already added these particular challenges, which is done. Now, in terms of evaluation script, is the actual script which runs when someone clicks on this button. So whenever someone's clicking, some user clicks on this evaluation script button, this run test button, this section of code runs, which you can specify over here, test command to run, right? So even if I say echo 1, this will run in the server, in this container itself, somewhere in the background, right? So What do we do in case of HTML labs? In case of HTML labs, if we just want to run a simple Node.js script, which is like a Puppeteer script, all we have to do is specify this as the test command. So you see what this is doing is that this is running a node script. It's saying node and then $test file name. This $test file name is an environment variable. So if I just open another terminal and if I echo this particular environment, you can see this is the file name, right? But you don't have to explicitly write this particular file. You can actually go ahead and write this as well, but don't do that because we might change the path of this file. So it's better to use environment variables instead. So $test file name allows you to run a particular test file using Node.js. So what we are doing is whenever someone clicks on this run test button, we are running a Node.js script, right? But what script is this? This script is the test file, which we'll create now in the fifth step. So let me just go ahead and again save the lab first of all. Let me just go ahead and start adding this particular test file, right? You can see over here, this interface allows us to add any sort of code in a simple file, in a full screen file, right? Now, what this file is the file which would be available inside of a container at runtime automatically inside of this $test file name thing. So what that means is if I have, let's say, console.log hello over here, and if I save this, what I'm essentially doing is I'm running a script with Node which has contents as console.log hello. So that is all we are doing. So what we can do in this case, again, is fall back to the documentation and take a look at things. For HTML and CSS labs, we can use the default test file of Node.js with Puppeteer evaluation. Now, if you know about testing a bit, you should understand that Puppeteer is used for headless browser testing, right? So what I can do is I can go back, click on custom template and click on Node.js Puppeteer. It will replace the contents and it will give me a demo or a dummy file or dummy test file, which is already available for you. So you see this file is a little bit complex, right? It's not simple, but it's a little bit complex to understand. But let's take a look at this one by one. We have a function run and we just run it. It's a simple script. So whenever someone clicks on, let's say, run test button, Node runs a particular script. Which script? This particular script over here, right? We run this particular code and something happens. Now, what happens is this particular function runs, right? Let me just quickly answer. This is if you are taking it too fast. I'm sorry if you feel like it's going too fast, but what you can do is, I mean, of course, like take a step back and go back and just rewind it if you want, or just consider this documentation as well when you are setting up your course. I can assure you this documentation consists of anything and everything you need to know. If it does not, if you still feel that this documentation is missing something, then you can just feel free to jump into Discord server and take a help from our team if you want. Okay, we have a super chat from someone. I built a project in Next.js, MongoDB, Node.js. I'm hosting it on AWS Beanstalk. Is it fine? Should I update to use Lambda functions for scaling? Please point to any tutorial on CodeDam. I have full stack path access. Okay, first of all, thank you so much for the super chat. I would have answered this question regardless. You built a project on Next.js, MongoDB, and Node, and you was hosting it on AWS Beanstalk. I mean, it depends on what you want, right? AWS Beanstalk is also fine. For example, for us, we don't use any sort of EC2s for hosting our GraphQL backend. We run it explicitly on AWS Lambdas. It is fine as long as it suits your needs, but serverless obviously is a less intense thing because it will automatically handle the underlying infrastructure for you. So there is no chance of like hardware being failing or you running out of storage or things like that, which usually happen with EC2 instances and things like these. But yeah, I mean, it should be fine. You can shift to Lambda if possible. Shifting to serverless also gives you an advantage that you are forced to make your code stateless, right? So that is also that is also like an important property of a scalable system, that your code layer is stateless. So sure, like I mean, you can take a look at how CodeDAM architecture is done. There are a bunch of videos on this channel itself, how CodeDAM architecture works. Just search for that, and you will see like how we use lambdas for our own use case. Yes, it will be possible, and I would get back to someone from the team will get back with the scholarship test results. I have seen this message for a while, but just wanted to answer this after the stream. But because you're asking it for a very long time, I'm just taking this up. Okay, let's get back, and I will just take a step back. We'll take it a little bit slow as well if it's going too fast. So what we have done so far is set up a very basic lab, set up a lab which allows you to run a script with Node.js when someone clicks on this particular run test button, right? Click on this run test button. This node would run this particular script. What script? This particular script over here, which you're editing with this edit test file button. Now, what this script is exactly doing is mentioned again in this documentation over here, right? So if you go ahead and take a look at this particular documentation, you're going to see that we have this particular script which is added over here already mentioned in the documentation, right? This is already mentioned in the documentation. Let's take a look at step-by-step understanding what is exactly happening here. Remember that we can code anything in this file and then execute it later. In this example, we are writing a Node.js script from scratch, right? Like I mentioned, you can code anything in this file and you can run it through Node, you can run it through Python, you can run it through XYZ things, whatever you want. The second pointer over here is we already have Puppeteer with headless Chrome pre-installed in CodeDAM Playgrounds for HTML, CSS. This is important, right? The reason we are able to use Puppeteer, we are able to require Puppeteer directly over here is that CodeDAM Playgrounds interface comes with Puppeteer pre-installed with a Chrome binary, headless Chrome binary. That means you can run headless tests inside for inside of your CodeDAM labs without actually installing Puppeteer in the first place, which might be a little time consuming. The third thing, in the first part of the run function, we start a headless Puppeteer browser. This is the part where we start a browser which is headless. Now, what is a headless browser? Well, you should know that if you're setting up this lab, but if you don't know, headless browser is just a way to control a browser programmatically without actually any GUI, right? Because all of this will be happening in the background. So we can't like boot a screen or anything. So we have to do it within the background without any GUI itself. Then we create a page with the browser within the browser, like you create a new tab or something like this. Then we go to this particular page, localhost 1337. Now the reason this is working is because remember that we ask the user, or we not ask the user, we run this particular script automatically on port 1337. But if you take a look, this is actually running on localhost 1337 within the container itself. See, we got the same HTML response, which we have written here, when we sent a request to port number 1337 and localhost. So what this means is that this particular URL is actually going to this particular page. Why? Because this test script over here is running inside of the container itself, right? So this test is happening within this particular container. Make sense? So this particular thing is what this particular Puppeteer browser is visiting. What this browser is visiting is that index.html page which we created earlier. Now, what we also do is we add jQuery and Chai for just basic utilities. You can skip this if you want, or you can just keep it. I mean, this is just for utility purpose. We are adding jQuery so that we can make testing a little bit easier, and we are also using Chai to add certain assertion things. Now, here's the fun part. The way this works, the way testing works, is that you have to write a Boolean array into this particular environment variable. process.env.unit test output file. The way this works is if you write a true comma false on this particular file, this consists of a file. Again, let me just go ahead and show you this inside of a terminal. If I echo this variable, you see this is actually a file path, home dammer/unit results. If you write true comma false as a boolean JSON array inside of this file, this would directly map to the results, to the challenges which we have on the page. Let's say it is written true comma false on the page. It'll appear something like this. The first challenge gets passed, the second challenge gets failed, right? So all you have to do is create an array over here, which is this results array like this, and then have individual try-catch blocks which populate this array. Like let's say by the end of these two blocks, results is true comma true. The thing which we are doing over here is writing to this particular file, and we are stringifying this results array, right? So technically this file consists of contents as true comma true, right? Which is JSON stringified representation of this array. The way this maps to the playground is that both of them would become green. The moment you write true comma true over here, both of them would become green. The moment you write true comma false over here, this would be green. The first one would be green, the second one would be red because the second challenge failed. Similarly, if this is false, this is true, then this would be red, this would be green, and and vice versa, and so on. If both of them are false, both of them would remain red, right? So this is like the core part of how you set up evaluation. You write a Boolean array which is in order of the challenges which you have added inside of the lab, right? So if you have, let's say, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 challenges, right? Now you have to specify an array of 7 Booleans, right? So it could be true, true, false, true, false, true, true, right? So we have these 7 values, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this map would be directly applied to whatever is visible to the user. So let's say if there is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 visible over here, then whatever value is true will become automatically green, and whatever value is false would stay red, right? And if you have an associated hint with that particular challenge, then if there is a false value returned for it, that hint would also be visible. So anyway, I'm just going to remove these extra challenges for now. I'm going to also go ahead and try to see what this try catch block does, right? So why we are using try catch block is because we want to assert something, and if that is successful, then we want to push the true value. If that is not successful, then we want to push the false value, right? Let's take a look now. What we are saying over here is page.evaluate. Now, this is a Puppeteer API, right? So I would recommend you to go through Puppeteer docs if you have to just go ahead and, just understand how to work with Puppeteer. Electrolyte again asked if you had more than one HTML file then what will happen is that your second HTML file, let's say index2.html, would be accessible under static server on, let's say, if this consists of hello world, something like this. So if I open this in new tab, I can go to index2.html over here, and you will see this file, right, which you created as a second file. And you can access the similar file by going to page.go to localhost 1337/index2.html, right? So that is how it will work. If you have multiple files, you can go to the different page using Puppeteer. You can control that. So let's say if your second test is inside index2.html, so you can say page.go to localhost 1337/index2, and then start evaluating inside of that. Let me know if that makes sense. But anyway, let's keep our focus again back to index.html itself, the single file which we were using. Now, the first test, what I'm doing is I'm saying page.evaluate. Page.evaluate, what it does is that it allows us to run a script inside of the browser, right? So remember that we are using Puppeteer to headlessly load this particular tab. But we have to test if this tab consists of an h1 tag, right? If there's an h1 tag inside of that. So one way we can do that is we can get assert. Assert is just a simple way of saying that if this expression is not false, then throw an error. And if this throws an error, then this try catch fails and you end up into a catch block, which pushes a result of false. So what I'm saying is assert document dot query selector h1 or query selector all, whatever you want, dot length is greater than 0. Why? Because our first test says that, hey, create an h1 tag on your page. And a test for that could be that I get all the h1 tags on the page and I say this array length should be greater than 0. And if that is the case, then test 1 passed, test 1 failed, otherwise test 1 failed. Do you have h1 on the page? You can just console log this if you want. Then the second test is you get the h1, you get the h1 first, document.query selector h1, then you say assert h1 to or h1.text content dot to lowercase, because we don't want to just have a casing thing, equal to hello world. And we can also add a trim over here so that if the user also adds additional spaces on either side, that doesn't make a lot of difference for them. And we can just say test2 passed, test2 failed. Did you actually write hello world inside of your h1 tag? And that's it. So by the end of these two results, by the end of these two try catch blocks, you would have a results array which consists of a combination of true, 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 false, false, true, and false, false, right? Because this could be true, this could be false, and so on. So let me just go ahead and save this now. Let me just go ahead and jump back to this particular file. I'm going to close this again. I'm going to go to this edit lab. Because this file is automatically saved, you don't have to do anything over here. I can click on this test lab result. And now we have a lab with us again, right? So now if I click on, let's say if I do nothing, and if I click on this run test button, you're going to see that we are running two tests, but both of them failed. Why? Because both of them resulted in this false, false thing being written to this particular thing, to this particular file. And you can actually verify that as well. If you want to console log this result over here, you can verify that this is false, false. But you take a look at this test result logs. Now this test result logs is the place to show you if you have written any sort of console log statements over here, like these console logs. Any console log written inside of the test file would appear inside test result logs. So you can also use this to debug your test, right? So you can say test 1 failed. You can see test 1 failed. Did you have h1 on the page? And then test 2 also failed. So we have both of these logs. So that is true. Like, these hints also appear. Again, these hints are available here, right? So you can customize these hints. These are available for the user. Let's say if I do add an h1 tag here, but I write by world here instead of hello world. Let's run this test now. You see, I wrote by world, but this is correct, right? Because there exists an h1 tag. That means this first test passed. Why did this first test pass? Because you can see this block right here evaluated to true, because the document.query selector all returned you an instance of h1 node, and the length of that is 1. It's greater than 0, so this passed. This test, however, failed because once we tried to get access to this h1, its text content is not hello world, it's by world. But now if I change this to anything, hello world, you can see it doesn't matter what casing we use, because we used a lowercase JavaScript evaluation over here. So now if I go ahead and run test on this, you're gonna see, okay, you can see this also did not work because HEL, we have an extra L over here. So you can see this can be helpful. You see that now both of these tests pass because now we have hello world written over here, and this is converted into lowercase. And you can also see this as a preview. So that is how you can create a very simple lab. Again, this can be made extremely complex if you want. What you can say is create a button which when clicked changes the text inside h1 to by world, right? And you can say name this button or give this button an ID of something. Give this button an ID of BTN, something like this. Now, what you can do is inside of Puppeteer, you can create this particular interaction, right? You can say that this particular interaction over here consists of that following thing, that if you want to get that button, you get the button like this, then you say button.click. Click. You get the idea, right? If I have this H1 over here, H1 over here, like this, I can first of all assert that h1.text content is equal to hello world. Then I click the button. Then I assert it again that h1.text content is by world. Right? So I'm not going to save this. I'm just showing you that this complex interaction can also be done with Puppeteer, right? So you can have these very rich interactive tests using Puppeteer, right? So you control the browser headlessly. You write the results like this. We're using a true, false array. And once your lab is prepared, that's it. All you have to do now is run a code base, which is run a code which consists of, a particular code which passes both the labs, or all the challenges in the labs. Once you do that, if you refresh this page, you're going to see that the verified solution over here turns to green. This means that you have verified this particular lab. Now, let's go ahead and close this tab for labs as well. Because we have already linked this lab over here, let me just refresh this. Because we have already linked this lab, if you click on this edit, you can see this lab is now prepared and it's ready to be used by anyone inside of your course, right? You can publish this lab item and that's it. Once you have published this lab item, you can basically, just take a look at this particular lab inside of a preview mode. You can practice this concept and you're going to see, let's see if this boots correctly. If we are not enrolled in the course, let's just take a look now, writing hello world. So you see this lab over here, this is how it would appear to the user, right? No test mode, nothing. But now if I go ahead and write, or if I run this test directly, you can see both of these tests pass, but you can also see there's a button of check verified solution, right? So if I have something like this, and if I click on verified solution, as a user, I can see what you as a creator entered over here, right? So I can take a look at what I need to add. I would understand, okay, I need to add a H1 and I need to add those hello world text things, right? So this button only appears if your lab over here has a verified solution, which is like the final part of setting up a lab. Again, this is also documented, right? To save time, you can clone this lab directly, which will clone all the details and everything so that you don't have to write everything again. You can clone this lab and work on the next lab if you want, and that's it. Does the variable of JavaScript and HTML is accessible via Puppeteer, like a fetch result or something? You can make it accessible. You can ask the user to say that perform a fetch request to XYZ URL and store the result inside window, let's say window.myResult, right? Now using Puppeteer, you can query for my result and see if that particular thing exists. But a better way, in fact, I'll just tell you a better way to test this would be to say, write a function which performs a fetch request and returns the output, right? Something like this. Write a function named fetch request, right? And then what you do inside Puppeteer is inside of that try catch block, inside of await Puppeteer, dot evaluate, what you say is something like this: await window, or not window, but await window dot fetch request, something like this. Then you get the result, const result like this, and then you assert based on whatever you want. Right? So you can access variables, you can access functions, whatever is available, what the user wrote inside of Puppeteer in the browser. So, I mean, going through Puppeteer documentation would be best because you will understand much more about how to headlessly work with any and every sort of page which you have, right? So this is also one of the most important aspects. We covered one of the most difficult and most important aspects of setting up a lab, that is evaluation. The good thing, however, is it just gets easier from now. The moment you understand how to set up a particular lab is it. Like that's it. Because once you understood how all of this works, you would be able to set up labs very fast, very quickly, right? This lab is again published. You see that if I click on preview course button, we see our curriculum being, coming along good. We have a article, we have a quiz, we have a video, we have a lab. But yep, that's basically it, right? So you can keep on adding more labs, you can keep on adding more quizzes, videos, articles. And once your course is ready, what you can do is go to the launch checklist part. I'm just gonna exit preview mode. So this launch checklist part, it gives you a detailed list of what we consider as a good practice, right? Basic course information, no empty lab items, and all these things. But yeah, you would have a few more items to fix before you can get started. And once you have submitted, once your course is ready, you can submit this course for publication using this button over here. Once this course is submitted, you can, and we have approved, you can start earning from this course. You can set up pricing tier if you want. You can distribute this link to your students, to your audience. They will buy this course, they will enroll in this, they will start working, start practicing these labs which you have created, which is the most important part. So I hope that was helpful. This live stream was helpful. This is already down to the last 20 25 people, but that is expected because I don't expect a lot of people to create courses. I expect a lot more people to consume these courses which you are creating. So that's awesome that we have a few people still in this live stream who are listening. But yeah, that's basically it. We have created a very basic mini course which consists of these bunch of items, a lab, a very simple article, a video. We haven't technically uploaded a video, but it's a simple thing. You just have to record, upload, and that's it. You can just link it, and that's it. Just add another lab. You can clone this lab as well if you want. Set up another concept lab. You can say something like building a button in HTML, right? Create this lab, edit it, link it, add tests if you want. You're good to go. Again, one of the most important things which I would want you to do is keep an eye on teach.codedam.com/docs, because this is a very important place. This is a very important place to understand how to work with interactive labs and what to do in order to build amazing interactive labs. Yes, we did it. That is all it takes to create an interactive lab. I know it's a while, it's a little bit time consuming, but think about all the experiences you will give to the end users. They would see a page like this. They would see a page like this where, well, of course, we just opted out of preview mode. That's why it broke. But if I go back to preview mode again, let's click on this. So your users, your students will see a preview like this where they have an IDE inside browser. They can practice, they can learn interactively, they can tinker around. And I feel like that is the best part of building a course like this, that you give your users such a premium, such a high quality learning experience. Okay, some playground questions, bring them on. Is the system you're using a pro variant? Is the system you're using a pro variant? I don't understand this question. Is the system you're using a pro variant? Can you explain on this? I don't understand what that means. What do you think about future of playgrounds? It's really not extensible. What do you think about the future of playgrounds? I think it is extensible. I think we can do basically any and every sort of course in this playground interface, whether that is a back-end course, whether that is a front-end course. You can see the guides written for Python, for example. You can create a Web3 courses on this. So you can run a full Ganache blockchain as a second terminal. You can run a Ganache CLI over here, which will run a testnet. So I don't know what you mean when you think about it's not extensible. I feel like it's an extremely extensible and a extremely flexible system. So yeah, with an exception of adding a custom Docker image in CDMRC. This is something which we have to take a call on, because we can do that. It's not impossible. The problem is that you will suffer with the speed. If we have a custom Docker image, it will take some time, maybe a few minutes to boot up. Right now, the playgrounds boot up within less than 5 seconds. So you see, if I refresh this playground immediately boots up, it sets up the environment, and you're ready to go, right? Within a few seconds. If we introduce support for Docker, which we will eventually, because we need DevOps courses and we need Kubernetes courses and we need all sorts of technology supported, this will increase the time of playground booting up. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to innovate on that front, like how we can make sure that that time also goes down. But yeah, we will work on that. But other than that, if you want to build web development courses, or even simple basic programming with C++, Java programming, if you want to build API level courses, if you want to build fairly advanced courses on Next.js, TypeScript, you can do that. Being someone who loves to teach JavaScript, this seems like a great opportunity. Thinking to modify videos from my channel and post them here at Codedam. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you so much. Again, just for the last 20, 30, 40 people who are in live stream, I would recommend you to go to codedam.com/instructor. And okay, this is something maybe we would have to work on, because I want to go to instructor when I'm logged in. So I'm just going to use incognito. Go to codedam.com/instructor, scroll down, and you will see this little calendar over here. You can set up a one-on-one call with me. Like right now we are doing a live stream, but for the 20, 30 people out there who are actually interested in creating a course or even migrating, or if you have any questions which I can help you with, which you are setting up when you're setting up a course, use this calendar to pick a time slot with me. I am available like almost all the time to help you guys. Use this calendar to set up a call with me one-on-one. You can do that. Or what you can do is go to cdm.sh/creator discord. This link again, I'm just going to post this link in the chat as well. This link over here is a creator discord server which we have, right? So this particular Discord server is only for creators. So if you want, let's say, some support, or if you're stuck somewhere, use this link to sign up first of all inside of Discord and ask our team. Our whole tech team is available there. I'm available there, and I'm also available in this particular calendar widget. Just pick up your time, whatever seems comfortable to you, and I can help you get started with Codedam Playgrounds and this whole interface of creating a course in general. Like, is it a MacBook M1 Pro? Tried looking out for your users page but couldn't find. Okay, do you mean what system am I using? I'm currently using MacBook M1 Air. It's not an M1 Pro, but irrespective of whatever system I'm using, I mean, the end user can be using a Windows laptop. The end user can be on a mobile phone as well. Codedam Playgrounds also work on mobile phones, so it doesn't matter what end system they use. But yeah, I'm using MacBook M1 Air. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think it's been a while. It's almost 2 hours of live stream. I'm also impressed with the number of people who have stayed back, and I'm pretty sure like we would have some of the best content creators coming out on Codedam in the span of next 1 to 2 years, who would create amazing, interactive, highly engaging courses. And I can't wait to see what you build. Feel free to block my calendar again, available on codedam.com/instructor. Scroll down a bit and you will see my calendar over here. You can set up a call with me if you want to get started as an instructor, as a creator on Codedam. And I would be happy to jump on a call to learn more about your use case and how I can help you and how the team can help you build a course. I'm going to keep the stream until here. Feel free to set up a call. Feel free to join the server, the Discord server. And yeah, I'm going to see you very soon in the next stream. Maybe we'll set up another course. Maybe we'll just go one level advanced. I don't know what will be the next stream, but that is all for this one. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you will love what we are doing at Codedam. And this is just the start. We have a lot more things coming up. We have a lot more feature updates and performance updates coming up, which I'm excited to share. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next stream very soon.